صدقة وتبسمك في وجه أخيك صدقة. That your smile in the face of your brother is a charity. It's a charity. So look at how the Prophet ﷺ was giving this, da'wah, this message to others in a nice way. So how can we learn from the Prophet? This is a big question.
Just going back to that first quality you mentioned, if you can just clarify it a bit as well. You mentioned the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ said, tell them about me even if it's one verse. بَلِّغُوا أَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةٍ. Now, the ability, isn't it part of the da'i to recognize how great he is, or in terms of how great his ability is, in terms of calling that person? Isn't this quite an important factor? Because a person who has limited knowledge in Islam, can he go and call a bishop in terms of a Christianity? Does he choose people that is at the same level? That's my point. Or he choose people below his level and not to go above his level of knowledge?
Sure, I agree with you, Brother Fuad. That each one of us can share the message according to his limits, according to his level of knowledge, and according to his ability. I don't ask a layman Muslim person, he has no knowledge to give a presentation or a lecture in the Vatican about Islam. So a scholar can go there, but he can share this message on the street. For example, a cab driver, taxi driver, for example, he can share a message with some passengers coming from the airport or going to the airport, taking them to the airport. He can give them, for example, if he cannot speak in English, for example, or cannot talk in that language that person can use or talk, he can maybe give them just a booklet. This is a gift for you. So he can share the message with others according to his ability and according to his level of knowledge. I don't ask any person to go, to give a presentation or a lecture to clergymen or professors.
So that's another good quality. He has to recognize his ability, right? Let us look. You mentioned some of the qualities, and I'm sure there was much more. But let us look at today's world and the position that the media is taking with regards to Muslim and Islam. This is definitely one of the biggest challenge in the field of da'wah, because you have this extra pressure on your head when you're giving the da'wah, when people already have a perception of what Islam is. How challenging is this today in terms of the da'wah?
Good. This might lead me to the second step in giving da'wah to others. We talked about breaking the ice. This is number one. First impression, sincere smile, good speech, knowing the background, having wisdom and patience. This, this leads me to the second step. We got to define our terms. When we talk with media, when we, present anything on media, we have to define, in a very correct and good way, the meaning of Islam. What is Islam? Now, the media, we hear Islam, Muslims on the media. But did we define the meanings scholarly, in a scholar way, in a scientific way? Because people just keep repeating things sometimes without knowing of the meanings of these things themselves.
Yes.
For example, if you talk with a person in the United States about Islam, let me give you this example, this practical, real example. When I was studying in the United States, I used to go to schools to give presentations about Islamic civilization and Islamic culture. So whenever I went to schools, I wrote on the board the word Islam, or, for example, Allah. And I asked the students at different levels, elementary, high school, middle school, you name it. Whenever I went there to several schools. I wrote on the board the word Islam, Allah, Muslim, for example. And I asked the pupils, the students, to brainstorm quickly about these three concepts or words: Allah, Islam, Allah, Muslim. Just I'm now sharing with you some of the responses, some of what I got. Some of the students in the United States, they said whenever they hear or read or watch something about Islam, Allah or Muslims, what comes to their minds is the following.
Okay, we'll keep the following, inshallah. We'll take a short break here, Dr. Najy, and we'll be back right after this.
My world is bright, Islam is my sight.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. You're watching The Straight Path. Today's topic is how to call to Islam. What is the meaning of da'wah? We've defined the meaning of da'wah, and what are some of the qualities of the caller, that's the da'i. We're talking to Dr. Najy Ibrahim Al-Arfaj from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, a person who's worked so many years in the field of da'wah. You can visit his website and check out his work at www.360, that's 360, It's Real Beauty, one word.com. That's www.360itsrealbeauty.com. We were just talking about some of the challenges and what, especially the way the Islam is being perceived by people through the media. And then you share your experience in terms of visiting to the school and you're writing the word Islam, Allah, Muslim, and then you ask the students what is their understanding. What were your responses?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I refer to part of my experience when I was in the United States. I went to several schools, elementary, middle school, and high schools. I asked them to brainstorm about, main concepts in Islam, like Allah, Islam, Muslims. And some of the responses, just to share some of them now, they refer to terrorism, camels, four wives, desert, Middle East, hijacking. These are some of the words, or some of the brainstormed concepts that they have in their minds. Now you're talking about even kids, children in elementary schools. So this is part of what they have in their minds. Whenever the word Islam is mentioned, they bring certain meanings to it. As I mentioned, like terrorism, killing, hijacking, for wives. Like wives of the Prophet, 11 wives sometimes. So we got to define terms. Because we have a problem here. We got a problem. So we have to go back and define our terms. And this is in response to your question, how to deal with the media and with, even the textbooks in the schools, in universities in the West. They have a distorted image, generally speaking. Generally speaking, they have misinformation about Islam, if I may say.
Okay.
So we got to give correct information about Islam and Muslims from authentic sources. And this is my piece of advice to those who watch us, from non-Muslim backgrounds. I advise them, brothers and sisters, get information about Islam from authentic sources.
Yeah.
If you want to know about chemistry, where do you? If you want to learn about physics, where do you go? If you want to know about Islam,